And thank you, all of you, for being here because you really don't have to be here. And especially to discuss racism in the United States. But I believe that all of us that are here today and people that listen to this in replay are being everyday activists. Just being here in this show. It's a Saturday night. You could be anywhere else but here. So thank you. I really appreciate it. I really do. We're still working on some technical problems here on the other side, but well, actually, they're fixed. My producer says they're all fixed, which is cool. Uh, Before I get into everything, I want to make an announcement. On June 24th, another creator here on Fireside and I are going to put on a poetry slam. And anyone can enter if you wish, and it's free. And the Poetry Slam is going to be a Juneteenth Poetry Slam. It's going to take place in the same time slot as this show. And really, Charlie, which is on the platform here, and me are getting together to do this Poetry Slam. And there's going to be prizes. There's $100 prize for first place. There's a $50 prize for second place, and there's a $25 prize for third place, which is pretty cool because as poets, um, it's very rare that we make any money. So, giving this opportunity for some poets to make a few dollars with their talent, I think it's fabulous. So, again, it's June 24th. Actually, I have a graphic if it'll show up. Let's see. There it is. Yep. So, you can you can enter by you can check on the fortune cookie there and just click on it, and it'll have Really Charlie Podcast at gmail.com. You can enter there. And if you can't get him for some reason, you can email me at themanaboutlove at gmail.com, which is cool. Yeah, so I will answer that. Um, so we're looking forward to that, just to do something for the community of poets. I think it's very important to do that. Okay, so let's see what we got going on tonight. So we know that this is episode 10, and I'm going to do a poem tonight called, well, actually, the poem is called Living in Tears, but this episode is called Living in Fear and Tears. And we can get into why we're doing that later. Just so you know, for those of you that haven't been here before, in the poem, you're going to hear me refer to the blue and white eyes. And the blue and white eyes is not necessarily people that have blue and white eyes. What they are some of the people that believe the blue blood running through their veins, their European blood, makes them pure and better and supreme than anyone with color in their skin. So, those are the people I'm referring to when I say the blue and white eyes. I'm going to get into the poem pretty quickly today because my voice is leaving me. I hope it sounds all right. I hope my voice isn't too bad, but it is definitely leaving me. And remember, if you want to clap, if you want to laugh, if you want to give any response during the show, great. And after the poem, I welcome anyone to come to the stage and we can discuss this poem. And if no one wants to discuss this poem, I will discuss this poem, certain parts of the poem that I feel are meaningful for whatever reason, but we can get into that. So, Let's get right to it. And this is called Living in Tears. We see what they're trying, so we keep coming and growing. We keep coming and growing, smarter and stronger, waiting and longing to march on them again and again. To come back again, over and over again, showing them who we are, showing them who we really are, showing them what they tried to keep us from seeing, what they tried to keep us from knowing. We are black lives that have been fighting for our rights, for our freedom, for 400 years or so. Given too much of our souls, given too many of our lives, fighting for our rights, trying to start living a free life, living in so many tears. For the great ones that died for us, before us, within us. We are black lives, living in so many tears for our ancestors that were enslaved and chained and shackled and used like black mules, living just like living tools to be used by the blue and white eyes. We are living in so many tears for the lives of our brothers and sisters, praying they don't die by the hands of the blue and white eyes. We are living in so many tears for our children that might die before us. Living in so many tears because our children hold our future. We are what we live for. Then they die before us, without us. Hard to keep living when we're drowning in our own children's tears. No one cares but us, just us. Living in so many tears for our children, living and dying in so many tears for black lives, just living and dying, just trying to stop the killing, trying to keep living without our souls dying. Just trying to keep fighting for our lives and our children's lives. Fighting to stop wrongful deaths of our people by the blue and white eyes police people. Fighting to stop prison cells with dollar signs for each living black body locked inside. We are fighting for our rights to gain free life, to give life to our future, to give life to your future. We are fighting for our rights, to give you rights, to gain rights for all minority lives, living in this country built on lies, living in this country of white dreams made for them, only for them, never for us. Only for them, never for us. The American dream. The American dream is not what it seems. The American dream is not what it seems. The American dream is not what it seems. Only for them, never for us. Only for them, never for us. Only for them. The American dream. The American dream. Only for them. Only for them. Only for them. Never, never for us. Okay, that is done. Struggled to get through that one. That is done, and I thank everyone for staying in the audience while I was doing that poem. Fabulous. So I want to open up the floor, and Jill, we don't have any questions, do we?
No, it's not yet.
Okay, cool, cool. No problem. Okay, so all my good people in the audience, I'm going to start going through this poem, and I'm going to try to make it a short show tonight because my voice is leaving me. So I'm going to go through certain lines, and again, if you have something to say, a comment, a question, anything, even if it's not on the topic of this poem. So, where do I start today? Um, okay. On the open of this poem, I say, we see what they're trying. So we keep coming and growing. So, what I mean by that, there are people in this country that will try to tell African Americans of this country things like, why don't you all just forget about slavery? There's no more slavery anymore. Or why don't you forget about it? Why don't you forget about racism and quit whining and crying about racism and things not being fair in this country for African Americans? Well, the reason is because things still are not fair in this country for African Americans. But not only African Americans, any minority that lives in this country that has come from elsewhere, that has some color in their skin is treated differently than a Caucasian person in this country. Um, that's actually just fact. That's fact. A Caucasian person doesn't have to worry about or be concerned about if they move to a neighborhood that someone may put a burn a cross on their on their lawn. They don't have to worry about moving to a new neighborhood and somebody yells the N word to you, or leaving a sign on your mailbox that says, "Why don't you go back to where you come to?" So when people say, "Why don't you just forget about it and quit complaining about, racial issues in this country?" This is why these things still happen to us. They still happen to us. I'm going to jump to, and wow, I'm not getting far in this. So we keep coming and growing, and we get smarter and stronger, and we're waiting and longing to march on them again. Well, the the things we did to move forward back in the '60s, through all the civil rights movement and all of that, the rights that we gained are being taken away from us now, and just again and again and again. So we do need to get back to where we're marching again. When all the Black Lives Matters things were going on, it happened because of we were able to do that because of COVID, and we were able to bring light to many situations. However, COVID's over, and now everybody had to go back to work. So now we're not marching. We're not. People aren't hearing our voice like they did during that time and in the '60s. Oh, excuse me. So when I say, we want to come back again over and over again, this is what we have to do in this country as a person of color. And I'm saying any person of color. It doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter because we're all being treated the same as less than. Okay, let's move on. And any comments, again, any comments or questions in any time, I welcome them. This is a safe place. I'm all about love. It says it in my email address, the man about love. And I truly am that way. I live this way. Okay, let's move down. Um, yeah, we are Black lives that have been fighting for our rights, for our freedom for 400 years or so. So since before 1865, um, we've been trying to get rights since we were brought here on slave ships, and we're still trying to gain our rights, our equality. But we are still seen as less than. I mean, think about how long this has been going on. Um, it is actually biblical. And I believe some people need to start realizing this, that this is actually biblical. So you just can't keep living and treating people the way certain people treat other people. It's not a good thing at all. Okay, let's go on. Um, oh, I know where I wanted to jump down to, and I do not see it right now. Um, okay, where I talk about we are living in so many tears for the lives of our brothers and sisters, praying they don't die by the hands of the blue and white eyes. We are living in so many tears for our children that might die before us. Now, we see this every day on the news. Uh, Another black kid is killed. It could be by the police. It could be in a gang war. It could be a person's just sleeping in their house and their house gets all shot up. Innocent people that are killed just sleeping, just sleeping. Now, quite often, I will hear people say, I will hear people say, well, if they weren't doing anything wrong, they wouldn't have been killed. If they wasn't doing anything wrong, the police officer wouldn't have shot him in the back or her in the back. If they weren't doing anything wrong, they wouldn't have been killed because they have a mental condition. If they weren't in a gang, they wouldn't have gotten killed. All of these things, we need to look at it deeper. Now, let's take someone that lives in a really bad neighborhood, and let's say they are in a gang, which I don't approve of. But why are they in a gang? Why do they live in that neighborhood? Well, again, let's look deeper. A lot of people that live in bad neighborhoods don't live there because they want to live there. There have been, through education or the lack of education in public schools in certain neighborhoods, and redlining. Now, redlining is a practice that started back in the 50s and probably a little bit before, endorsed by the government. So they would decide which neighborhoods black people could live in. So we're put in certain neighborhoods that are lower income, and the schools are not good. So you don't get a good education. You're always struggling. The apartments that people may live in within red lines may be dilapidated. So it goes on generation after generation after generation. And instead of moving forward, we're just stagnating because of our school systems. And you can say, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Have you ever tried to pull yourself up from your bootstraps when you're black? Have you ever tried that? It's not an easy thing. Have you ever been able to do that when the school you grow up in that you go to, there's people within the school that's trying to keep you from succeeding. There's people in the school that are telling you you're less than. If you make it to high school and you see your guidance counselor before you graduate, they'll tell you, you need to work in a factory. That's what you're geared for. Work in a factory. Be a garbage man. You need to work at the Waffle House. So, in these areas, there's no encouragement. And you've got generations at generation and generation. It's hard to break that cycle. Extremely difficult to break that cycle. So yeah, it's hard. And it's not all of our fault that we're in these situations. Generation upon generation upon generation, we're just being knocked down. Just knocked down. Okay. Any comments, questions? I welcome them. Please come. Okay, and I'm going to move on. I'm not even gonna get into the lines about our children being killed in deeper. Um, okay, here we go. No one cares. No one cares but us. Just us. And no one does care. For the most part, just another black kid dead. Just another innocent father dead on his way home from work, beat to death by cops for nothing, not breaking any laws. That happens to us. You know, one time, I never thought about it, but someone asked me on this show, how many times have I been pulled over by a cop? Well, a lot of times I was pulled over. I actually was speeding. Okay, no, I was speeding. Thank goodness I didn't end up dead. But I had never thought about it before, how many times I had been pulled over. And I would say in my lifetime, I have been pulled over about 75 times. Have you been pulled over 75 times? Have you been pulled over around the corner from your house and had your vehicle searched and was made to sit on a curb in front of all my neighbors that are on their way home? Have you ever been through that? Have you ever had everything taken out of your vehicle and thrown on the ground? And I broke no laws that day. Wasn't speeding. I wasn't doing anything wrong. And I had about, they really used me for training. There was about 8 cops, all for me, around the corner from my house. They detain me for an hour and a half. And then they say, you're free to go. Were my rights violated? There were many things during that stop where my rights were violated. However, I say nothing. I answer the questions. Otherwise, I say nothing. Because if I say anything, if I question anything, if I see them doing something wrong and I try to stand up for my rights, that's when things will go bad. Very bad. So I lived another day because I had to keep my mouth shut. I kept my mouth shut. I lived another day. It's just another day and a person with color. Okay, let's go a little further. Let me see. We'll get down by the end of the poem here. So where I say, we're fighting for our rights to give you rights. So when we fight for our rights, we also fight for everyone else in this country that is seen as less than. When we gain rights, they gain rights. If you're from Mexico, when we gain rights, they gain rights. If you're Asian, when we gain rights, you gain rights. Doesn't matter where you come from. If you are seen in less than in this country, we need to get together. We need to stop being separated. Yes, Jill.
That brings up a question I'm often asked. So if gaining rights gains right, if one group of people gains rights and then the other group of people gains rights, does that mean that the people who always had the rights have fewer rights?
No. That's the short answer.
I know.
Not at all.
I know. But for
However,
some reason that but for some reason many feel threatened that if they're giving something, then something's being taken away.
Zero sum gains. No, that's not reality. Not at all. So, hope that answered the question. thanks for asking.
It did. I knew the answer. I'm just saying that I'm asked that question a lot, so I thought you could address it.
Yes. So, we need to see that. And it doesn't matter what color you are in this country. If you know this goes on, you should help some kind of way. And I always say, if you're here at this show and listening to this show, because it's a rough topic and we all would just like to forget it. But if we do, nothing changes. Nothing changes. So I commend everyone that came to the show here tonight. Thank you very much, because I see you as an everyday activist just being here on the show. So let me continue here. So we're fighting for our rights, to give you rights, to gain rights for all minority lives living in this country built on lies. This country that was built on white dreams that were made only for them, never for us. These rights always benefited them, not us. Only for them, never for us. This American dream that we all dream about is not the same. for us. In my American dream, I want to be treated like everyone else, like an equal. That's my American dream. My American dream is if I go for a job, I know I'm going to get paid exactly the same as my white coworker. If I'm on a job, I want to know if I'm for a promotion, I'm going to get judged for my work, not for my color. That's what I want, for what I can offer. In my American dream, and myself, I've worked for myself most of my life. But in my American dream, if I'm up for a contract and I don't get the contract, I want it to be because someone else had a better bid. I don't want to not get the contract because I'm a different color. And that has happened to me many times. I have been in places where a white friend of mine came with me because I was working as a sub under a white friend of mine. And the white friend of mine said, "Hey, this doesn't make sense." He says, "I'm not making much money, with you being the sub. And if you're just the contractor on the job, because I don't do what you do, you can make a little more. And, the small percentage I was making on it, said it doesn't matter to me." He said, "So I'll bring you in with me and introduce you to the man in charge." In this case, it was a man, the man in charge, and then we can see if you can be a contractor on your own with him, for him. I said, "Great, thank you." Here's a white friend that is really trying to help me out. Well, we went to the meeting. The white man saw me, but did not see me. He wouldn't look at me. He wouldn't shake my hand. He wouldn't say, "Hello, how are you?" Nothing. I was invisible. And I was standing 2 feet away from this man, looking him directly at his face. I did not exist. I was less than. And the price would have actually been cheaper for him if he had only talked to me. All would have been good, but no, I do not exist. And I'm telling you, this stuff still happens. It still happens. Ask yourself, why are there black sides of town? Why are there black neighborhoods? Why are there neighborhoods that only Mexicans live in? Why are there neighborhoods that only Asians live in? Why is that? For safety. For safety. We live somewhere else, and who knows what'll happen. Now, I live in a white neighborhood. My neighborhood is probably 95% white. I made a conscious decision to do that. That is also what I do to be an everyday activist, to move in a neighborhood that's all right. And over the years, I and my wife have been victims of racism. Price I have to pay to live in a white neighborhood. But this is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to put myself online for on the line for just being black, to live in a nicer neighborhood, to to have a house that's valued just like everyone else's house. But if my house was in a black neighborhood, it would be worth $100,000 less. Same house. Same house. In some cases, the house would be $150,000 less in a black neighborhood. So, yeah, I still have to talk about this. So, that American dream, it's not the same for us as it is for white people in this country. I just want to be equal. I just want a fair chance. And that is it on that poem. Again, I'm going to get out of the show early tonight because my voice is still leaving me. It's rough to talk about this stuff. This is why I only do the show every other week. Every other week, because it takes a lot out of me. So, Jill, is there anything I have forgotten this evening? If you'd
Well,
let me know.
well, speaking of doing the show every other week, the next show is live from Louisville, Kentucky.
Aha, it is from the Brown Hotel.
That is correct.
Yes,
The
yes, it's sure.
historic Brown Hotel.
The historic Brown Hotel. Yes, yes. We are. Why are we going to be there, Jill?
We're hanging with writers.
We're hanging with a whole lot
It's
of
part of
writers.
my alma mater volunteer work that I do every year.
Yes. So Jill goes and volunteers, and I write while I'm there.
So do I.
It gives me a.
But I also do many other things.
Yeah, you do a lot of
while I'm
other
there.
things. I only write and hang out and have a good time and have a couple of drinks
Yes,
and
yes.
but
You
yeah,
really
my
make it a retreat for you. It's not so much a retreat for me, but it's a good time.
yeah, it is a good time. I'm looking forward to it. And also remember, as I said in the beginning of the show, we're going to be doing a Juneteenth Poetry Slam on June 24th, right on this show, in conjunction with Really Charlie Podcast. And you look like you want to say something, producer.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. Many people know that Juneteenth is June 19th, but that's not a Saturday.
That's
So
not a
that's
sad. Yes, so we're
so
having
that's
it
why
on.
this is after the fact.
Yes, June 20th and 24th. And I thought I heard someone say something about they want to make it Juneteenth month. Did I hear that somewhere?
Well, really, Charlie said that he has been around people who are commemorating it for an entire month,
Oh, well, cool. Then so are
but
we.
not officially.
Then so are we on June 24th. Please, if you're around, please come and check it out and check out all the poets. And I'm sure they're all going to be very talented, but only one can win. But another one could be second place, and another one could be third place, which would be really good, really good. And again, I want to thank.
Is there any entry fee to you?
There
You
is
mentioned
no
that there's prize money, but
no
entry fee?
entry fee. No entry fee. How many contests can you enter with no entry fee? And it is open to everyone. It does not matter what your color is. Doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter whether you're a new poet, you've been writing for 20 years. It doesn't matter if you've been published before or not published. It doesn't matter. The only thing we do want is we would love for you to try to write a poem or recite a poem that has to do with race in America. which would be good. But it could be maybe your viewpoint is that things are good in America when it comes to race. We would like to hear that one too. We'd like to hear all sides. This is what opens up the floor to conversation. This is how we learn from each other. So please show up and just listen. And if you're not a poet, just listen and support the other poets here, because they are.
That's what I'll be doing. I'm not a poet.
Yes, that is what you'll be doing. So, yeah, let's close this out. So I do thank everyone for coming, and I truly do love you all. I love all people. So thanks for coming tonight. All of you everyday activists, which you are now because you're here. Special thanks to Billy Dees. You know I love you. So the music.
You have
Jill.
two other guests.
Oh, who I can't see.
Three other guests. You have Dorinda.
Dorinda. Hello.
You have Shannon, and you have Joe.
Oh, I didn't see Shannon's whole name. I just see Shan.
I
You must have
clicked
looked
on
it
it.
up.
Yes.
And Joe, thank you, all of you, for coming. I hope you come again. I know these are tough conversations, but I would like to hear from you in the next show. If you come to the next show, a lot of people come and never come again. But I hope the audience tonight will come. And Billy Dees has been here several times, and he's trying to get us to come over to Twitter. That's a hard one, Billy Dees. I don't know if we're going to make it over there.
They just got a new CEO, so maybe.
They got a new CEO. Okay, we'll see how things go. We'll see how things go. The song that's playing now is Choral by 29 Beats. And the song I played during the poem is called Deep Enigma by Icelander. Deep Enigma. Icelander. Yeah. Okay. And let me see, the next show, which is in 2 weeks, is going to be episode 11, Keep Dreaming. Keep Dreaming. And the poem is going to be Minority Dreams. Minority Dreams. So we probably have some dreams. We don't know if they're going to come true or not, but we got some dreams. Again, I love you all. Thank you for coming. I really mean it. I really mean that I do love you all, and I really do thank you for coming. Because you didn't have to be there. So that's a big deal. It's a big deal to me, and I hope it's a big deal to everyone else that watches this in replay. So till next time, the music ran out. That means I talked too long. We're going to get rid of the video, and then we're going to end the show. And I hope